Hello, my name is Alan, and this is basically my presentation for the project we were assigned. So basically, the career I chose is a professional gamer, and the game I chose was a game called Dota 2. And Dota 2 is basically a game played both casually and competitively by millions of people across the world. People in countries like Peru, Russia, Germany, France, America, South Africa, Southeast Asia, China, Japan, Korea. All different countries play it because of how competitive, how fun, and how different the game is every time you play it. Now, the thing is, you might be thinking, oh, this is a game, how can you make a living by playing a game? The thing is, the game, competitively, what I can remember was from 2008. It basically, the highest prize pool for the winner, like the winnings, for first place, was maximal, I think, like $3,000. I mean, 300,000. And basically, that was in 2008. It went from 2008 for $300,000 to 2014 about $4 million, which basically $3,700,000 increase over like 6 years. And there's so many different tournaments with $1,800,000 prize pools. These happen multiple times each month. It's basically what the career for a professional Dota 2 player is basically you traveling all over the world, making, if you win a tournament, hundreds of thousands of dollars, meeting new people or meeting old friends that are on other teams. And it's basically a fun thing to do, and yeah, it's basically fun. You make money by doing it, and you get to meet new people, and you get to travel the world. It's a pretty good thing. Now, aside from that, the actual math that's inside this game, there are two basic forms that I'm going to talk about: basic number system and statistics probability. So for the basic number system, as you can see there on the bottom of my screen, there's my health, mana, stats, damage, movement speed, damage, my gold, my kills, deaths, assists, and the kills overall, and the time. All those use a real number system. They use real whole numbers, and along with that, abilities use real numbers. Now for abilities and basic attacks, there are three kinds of damage sources. There is physical damage, magic damage, and pure damage. Magic and physical damage can be reduced with armor, while pure damage cannot be reduced by armor, meaning the damage it does is basically the damage that it says it does, opposed to the other two kinds where it can be reduced and it's almost never the amount of damage it actually says. Now, for example of pure damage, my first ability, it does 360 damage. This guy has 1727 health. If I use my ability on him, it will bring him down by 360 health, and as you can see, 1367 health. How, that's just a simple equation. 1727 minus 360 equals 1367. That's just basically simple one-step equation. Now, basically, during a team fight, which is basically everyone and the game basically comes together and they fight and they use all their abilities and say people die, people take damage, abilities are used. In the game's engine, there's so many different formulas, different equations happening. It's basically like binary code, except different numbers other than 1 and 0. That's basically what it is, because there's so many different numbers, and basically it just looks, if you look at the game's engine, which you can't sadly, but if you actually could, it would just be a bunch of numbers, which is why this game has a lot of math incorporated in it. Now, an example of a multi-step and complex equation. First I'm going to show you basically the combo I'm going to do, and then I'll basically redo it and explain everything in it. Not explain, but basically say the equation, so then you can somewhat understand what's going on. So now what I'm going to do, basically brought him down to 50 health, which is a lot of damage actually. So, bring him back to full health. Basically what I did was, I hooked him. I used an ability called Rot, which should damage over time. I used my ultimate on him, which also does damage over time, plus a multiple of my strength attribute. I used my Shiva's guard, and then I right-clicked him. Now he's at 100 health. That's because I didn't keep my second ability, which is Rot, on long enough. The same amount of time I did previously. And also, as I was explaining, he was gaining some health back, so it's not the exact amount he had before, but it's close enough. And the equation for that is this, basically without the resistance being included in it. So this is basically all the damage I'm doing to him. So without the 47% physical damage resistance, 25% magic damage resistance. So basically, I'm doing 110 times 3 plus 360 plus 175 times 3 plus 173 times 3 minus 207, or plus 207 actually, and then I subtract that to itself, and then basically brings him down to about 50 health. Well, it would bring him down more to 50 health, but since I'm not including resistance to this, but if I did, it would bring him back down to about 50 health. Now, as you can see, this is a very complex and multi-step equation. It's not really complex, but it's just a lot of parts to it. It's pretty simple to solve. But it's basically one of the ways that math is in this game. Just simple things like that. And there are also more complex ways that math is in this game, like statistics and probability. Now, one of the forms of probability that I will use in this example is randomization. Now there are two kinds of randomization: true random distribution and pseudo random distribution. I'm going to focus on true random distribution mainly because it's simpler, and I want this to be very basic. And pseudo random distribution, I don't really fully understand it yet. And it's basically really complex, so it's best that I not try to talk and explain something that I don't really know about. So, basically for true random distribution, or TRD, the game rolls a random static integer between 1 and 100, and for this example, since the chance of this thing happening is 40%, if the integer is between 1 and 40%, basically what will happen is that this ability will activate and I'll get whatever its benefits are, which in this example is mana back. So I'm gonna do this. And basically I'm just gonna lose mana with each attack, and then after a certain amount of attacks, since this counts as an ability, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna restore mana when this ability activates. So I'll just show you. So every time you see a blue ring around me, that means that the ability is activating and the game rolled an integer between 1 and 40. So attack 3, 4, 1. And as you can see, out of like I didn't actually count, but I'm assuming it's around 10 to 15 attacks. I only got about 5. I only got 5 effects from my passive ability that uses randomization. That's one of the downsides of TRD, is that it is completely random. There's no chance for you to actually rely on it, which makes the game very uncompetitive. It's just luck based. But thankfully there are only a few abilities that actually use this feature. Pseudo random distribution, which means fake random distribution, or PRD. It's basically what makes the game very competitive, because it reduces the luck element and basically makes it so that there's less luck and more skill, or it's not really skill, it's basically knowledge about the game. And all I'm gonna say about it is instead of there being a random chance of it happening, the chance of it happening increases per time you do it until it actually activates, and the counter resets, if you understand what I'm saying. So now, along with the real number system, basic and complex equations, and randomization, there's also just statistics in general, like the chances of a certain hero winning. As you can see, right, it's a dependent variable because of how popular he is, with his popularity graph for this week. So his win rate for this week and his popularity this week. As his popularity increases, his win rate increases, and this because his win rate is a dependent variable. It depends on his popularity, and basically the more he's played, the more he